What's up, everybody? It's DJ Unprotected, and you are tuned into The Output. This is a podcast about fashion, pop culture, music, and whatever else I thought was worth talking with you about. You just never know with this show, and that's how we roll. We are trying to just have a conversation and, enjoy the topics and everything that's going on in life. Now, I will tell you why this episode is going to be so great. It's because this is the second time I am recording this episode, and that is a very good example of kind of how my week went. Now, this past week has been an absolute trip, and the only way I could sum it up is that life sucks sometimes, man. Like, it really does. Sometimes you just constantly get hit with gut punches. Your level of resilience is constantly tested, but more than that, it's like it is constantly giving reminders like, hey, you're human now. I don't know if you all are going through the same thing or have experienced the same thing, but I have. I know other people have. I was like tuned into this Facebook group called Quarantine Karaoke QK. It started in the spring, but basically people go live all the time and start singing karaoke. So yesterday I tuned in, and this one woman was talking about she wanted to sing My Immortal by Evanescence, and she was singing that song because of the type of week and how life has impacted her. And, she was like, a lot of people put on pretty faces all the time. They hide their sadness, but then when they go home and they're by themselves, they kind of scream and do whatever they got to do. But she was just letting everyone know, reminding people that sometimes the pretty picture isn't as pretty as you may think, or whatever, however you want to put it. But she raised a good point, and I'm not going into the show to be negative, but hey, I just want to let you guys know that life it has its moments, man, and I will tell you that it is better. So I was reading this book. I've read it a couple times. It's like Peace in Every Step, Finding Peace in Every Step, and it talks about like little things such as, like, I don't know, like reminding yourself that like you are in this life, you are in the presence, like you can choose how to enjoy it, to take deep breaths when we get frustrated, to kind of push away those moments of anger and remind ourselves that we are in control. And it's not always easy to do, but I think if we take small steps, right, like you get upset or you're in traffic, like you're running late and you catch every red light and you're pissed off about it, like sometimes it's okay to remind ourselves, hey, traffic doesn't care. Like, do I really want to waste my energy on that right now? And same thing at work. Like, if you work with people who frustrate the shit out of you, just remind yourself that, hey, I can't control them. I can only control what I can control, which is myself and my reactions to me completely disagreeing with how they're handling the situation. So that like kind of goes into the whole happiness deal that we've been vibing with recently in the show. But this week, I have been using a lot of the tips because I've been battling depression myself. And I think it's probably self-inflicted because I use the word hate a lot when it comes to how I talk about my job. But, I'm human and I just keep it real. So I need to keep it real, but also keep it real with myself and like to find those further moments of happiness, like things like doing this show, producing, making music in the studio, and other great things like having family and friends that care, etc. So you guys, I want to say thank you to you right now because you are kind of like my therapist. So we're going to end this therapy session, all right? But just a reminder out there. So didn't mean to jump back a bit, but why I brought up that book, Finding Peace in Every Step, was because it talked about, okay, sometimes it feels good to scream in frustration, especially into a pillow. So it's funny, like 3 years ago, I had a boss who was like in a very challenging position, similar to the one that I'm in now. And I remember asking her, I said, hey, how do you deal with this like every day and still come in here and handle business and act like nothing's bothering you? And she said, I scream and cry into a pillow every night that I go home. And so I would just easily say that last week I probably screamed into a pillow every day that I went home from work. Absolutely every day. And I mean, I guess it works, but that book talks about that it may feel good, but if we go to that as kind of like our resolution all the time, as our answer. Like, it's not always healthy because screaming, that anger, it really does exert a lot of energy. And, that's energy that could be applied to other positive, productive things. All right. So that's where I'm at. But, it's like throwing stones in a glass house because I get frustrated and I go to the pillow a lot. Like, my poor pillow has man, it has taken some verbal abuse over the years. I will tell you what, it's probably like, stop screaming at me. All I want to do is like bring you comfort and warmth and make your head feel good when you're sleeping. And you can grab me and pull me in and act like you're cuddling. Like, why are you yelling at me? That's like the perspective of my pillow. But hey, that's it. So I was going to cover that. But this episode should go well because I've got everything working right. It was strictly operator error why I messed up the first episode. And it's it's kind of funny what happened. So I got I've got a professional studio here, got all the plugins that a studio would have if you rented studio time, and like you name a city, I have the plugins that they're gonna have. Like, I could definitely make some awesome work up in here, and I could support a lot of different clients if I wanted to. So what happened was I was testing out some new plugins like that basically alter the sound of like voice, like auto-tune, you guys are familiar with that, and some like chorus effects that you could do on guitars. So I was testing some plugins out. I had routed my podcast voice through those line of plugins by accident, thought I had them bypassed, aka like for non-audio people, meant that like it was not connected. Like, I didn't think I had them connected. Well, it turns out I recorded an entire episode of me sounding like a very over-exaggerated T-Pain. So I was like, no one's going to enjoy that. And anyway, in my frustration, I got rid of it, and here we are. So it is all good. We're going to keep it positive this show, though. I promise you guys. It's holiday season. You see, I'm festive here in the studio. We've got lights up. I've had my tree up for several weeks, and I've got this cool Merry Christmas pin on. So trying to spread joy and cheer to everybody. So, but we do that through finding happiness and being thankful for small things, like thankful for, like the Christmas lights bringing joy. And that's what holiday season's about. And like friends, family, we know that one of the topics, so I guess I'll just tell you guys like some of the topics we're going to talk about in this show. Okay, we've got, let's see, holiday wish lists. Awesome, definitely. I know you guys have them. Everybody does, right? And then we're going to talk about some fashion. I love scarf season, how much I love it. And as well as like some of the new things that I've watched in like my spare time recently. So when I wasn't screaming into my pillow, but it's, I love scarf season. I can't wait to talk about that one. But before we get into the rest of this, I want to say, guys, thank you for watching this show. Thank you for supporting me. We've been live since May. So what is that? 7 months now, and we're growing, developing the show. I appreciate everyone liking the content that gets posted on Instagram, whether on my account or the podcast account. So thank you so much for supporting this. It's been a really good journey, and we're going to grow and develop the show from here. But what I want to ask you guys is, like, if you are enjoying this, just help us develop it and grow it more by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. If you are cruising by or somehow this was suggested to you, or you clicked the link in my bio on Instagram and it brought you to the show, just please hit that subscribe or like button if you appreciated the content. No pressure. I'm not pushing you. Just want to say it all matters and helps. And if you happen to stumble across this video on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe to the Aztec Nation YouTube page is where I post the episodes. And we've got a lot of cool things coming up within the next year for that channel. Like, we've got a meditation series we're going to start doing in January with a couple of the clients, or a couple of the board members, like the artist Caleb Germain. He's going to be hosting this meditation series. It's going to be awesome. And then the other podcasts are going to upload their videos as well. So lots of content to help you get through your day and to bring you entertainment. And it's awesome. So if you could just do that, show the show some love. I promise we appreciate it. And then coming early next year, we're going to do some fan appreciation contests and bring some of that love back to you guys. So really appreciate the support. So no matter how you listen to this podcast, I want to say thank you for tuning in, and I thank you for every like that you offer us. So, all right, this week's intriguing question. Now, this is not meant to start any fights, arguments, but I know that it is a pretty, definitely well-discussed topic in households. I'm a single guy, so I don't really have to argue over what my thermostat says, okay? But what temperature, here's the question, what temperature do you prefer to keep your house setting at? What temperature do you keep that thermostat at that's considered comfort to you, whether you pay the bills or you call the shots in the household? What is it like? And then, are you totally okay with forcing people to find their own way of comfort, whether that's wear less clothes or wear more clothes? So that's what it is. That's this week's question. I want y'all to think about it because I know everybody's got it. Like, I've visited my sister. I love her to death. When I visit her in the wintertime in Syracuse, New York, I'm always freezing. I swear that thermostat's probably on like 65, maybe 67 tops. Freezing. And blankets are required whenever you're just hanging out on the couch because the place is so cold. So, yeah, that's just how it is. But hey, that's her house. That's her choice. She chooses that. We'll discuss this further in detail, but I can tell you that I do not keep my thermostat at 65 when I'm at the house. Definitely not like a number of comfort for me. So there it is. You're either bundling up or you're sweating your ass off, but I know it's going down your houses, so I want to know what you guys are. I'm going to give my answer at the end of the show, but feel free, dab me up on Twitter at DJ Unprotected and tell me what you like your thermostat settings at. All right. So this show, okay, we're in December. We're going to talk about holiday stuff. And the one thing is holiday wish lists. Like, there have been tons of cyber sales going on. People have either lost money or saved a lot of money because of what this pandemic has done. I think there's two different scenarios. It's hard to find somebody in the middle, because if you still maintained a job over the pandemic since March right here in the US, and maybe your traveling plans got killed, so like your money that you were budgeting for a trip, now that has been piling up for something else, or you weren't going out and partying or socializing as much, so you saved all that cash. So I know we all got wish lists, however it may be. I will tell you, though, one of my wish lists this month, and I want to go to, I need to go shopping. I know it's not the same experience as it was, but I want to do some clothes shopping in the next week or two. But I got Timberland still on the top of my list that I want to purchase for myself. Merry Christmas to me. Get some Timbs to rock for the next few months while it's chilly here in Texas. It will be chilly probably, through February. Okay, without a doubt. So I want to get me some Timbs, probably go with the classics just to rock them with my kind of skinny, not so skinny jeans, but you guys know what's hot, what's not. That's how I roll with the clothing. The next thing on my wish list, now this is very cool, and this comes to the topic of like results into that happiness of having like good friends and family, right? Surrounding yourself with good people, and just sometimes like, man, you just got blessed, right? Came into this world in a situation where, people care for you. And I've definitely been very blessed to have a loving family, and I think it's really cool. So my parents were like, hey, you know what? Like, buy whatever you may need, like, hooked me up with some Christmas cash. And top of my wish list that I've been looking at for a while was a new microphone here for the studio. So this microphone that I'm using, I've had since I started making music in the dorms back in like 2008. Okay, this thing is like great on like hip hop vocals, and I wouldn't say so much for singing because I think it's like a flat response, but I use it for the podcast because it's like low maintenance and getting it to sound all right in my software, so then I can tighten it up. But it does take a lot of post-processing work to make it sound good. I know this mic so well that it doesn't take me long. It just takes a lot of processing. You know what I mean? And it's it's plug and play, plug it in, turn that joint on and go. But I've had this microphone, the Shure SM7B. Now that thing's a classic. You see it on the Joe Rogan podcast, a lot of other podcasts, okay, on radio shows, The Breakfast Club. All right, the SM7B is like the staple for like radio shows, podcasts, voiceovers, videos. If you watch Twitch, a lot of people on Twitch have that microphone. Definitely YouTubers have that microphone. Okay, I've been eyeing this thing for a while. I've got several microphones for the studio. I got the Shure SM58. That thing is an absolute classic as well. Great for talking live. I use that when I stream live DJing, but it's more of like a rugged microphone. So the SM7B, man, I'm excited. That thing's getting that next week for sure. Super stoked about getting that microphone. That's going to be a great addition. So the next episode you see or you hear, I am using that microphone. It's going to be cool. I won't have to worry about this pop filter all up in my face blocking the YouTube views. I know you guys get to miss my beautiful grill, but that's been on the list. Been researching that mic for a long time. If it wasn't that one, I was looking at the Rode Pod mic. That mic's cool. The difference between the two, okay, obviously, I'm going to tell you guys, we're going to talk about some technology here, some music stuff, all right? So I'm not trying to bore you, but two different mic options. So the Rode Pod mic, that's $99 and has been like sold out for months. Like the most popular mic everyone's getting at because it does sound good, right? And then the Shure SM7B is $399. Why didn't I get the Rode Pod mic and I chose this one? Well, this, basically the SM7B, I mean, just because of the reputation of it, I like the way it sounds. I like how you can have certain controls on the mic to adjust the frequency response of it, which is amazing, right? So if you don't want low end, like on these podcasts, kill the low end, you know what I'm saying? So you roll off the low end and then you add some highs and it's just going to sound crispy. You don't get those options with the Rode Pod mic. So I went with this one. It's going to sound great. And you can also like use it for singing projects or other things, which is great. I don't know if like the Rode Pod mic is great for singing. The SM7B absolutely is because the first version of this mic, maybe it's had some updates since, but it's still the same name. The Rode SM7B was used to record the Michael Jackson's Thriller album. Okay, and you just don't compete with the Thriller album. All right, so yeah, I went with that mic. That was on my list. So definitely gonna get myself Tim's. Got this mic, and I also geeked out on some new software, which is why I'm recording this episode twice because while geeking out, I forgot to double check myself and recorded a whole episode of me sounding like T-Pain. So anyway, yeah. That's what it was. But it's interesting, right? Buying some new music software that, may cost like $50 to $100. You can spend $100 and get several plugins, right? Whereas 10, 12 years ago when I first started, I started producing music back in 2008, 2009 when I was buying some of these plugins and software. Okay, when I was working with clients, you were looking at spending $100 to $200 for one plugin. Something that was going to be an equalizer. I remember I bought the Waves Gold Pack 2008. That thing was like $600-$700. Okay, now you can get in on deals for like $200-$250. It's crazy, but it's always interesting when you think about that because it's the same thing that happens with cameras or like cell phones or computers or whatever like that. When it's new, okay, when something new comes out, it's like tons of money, and then years later, you know what I mean, like. They calm the fuck down with the prices, and when there's competitors that go out there, then they start lowering their price points. So it's just wild. So companies are going to get money when they can, but it's a good day to, be in the music industry because plugins and stuff are a lot cheaper, especially around the holidays. You get the hookup where they want to keep your business because there's a lot of competition to get quality stuff, where I think like 2008, around then, there wasn't a lot of options for quality plugins. You either had analog gear or you had, the quality, plugins unless you had the stock ones. But I use Logic. Logic has a lot of great plugins in it, but it was pretty cool. So learning lesson of that is if you're an early if you're an early adopter, you better have a budget. I mean, that's the truth. So if you're an early adopter, use your will to buy new things and maybe like start a YouTube channel and talk about it so that way down the road you can get some like residual income from it, but if you're just going to hang back and wait for like technology to like fall off so you can buy things cheaper, then hey, your budget's probably a little better for you. Everyone's got their own different jive. For me, I budget for the new things. But yeah, so far, the Christmas wish list has been great. I just want to do some shopping, shopping, like I totally want to go and get some scarves. I love scarf season. When I lived in Denver, me and some of my friends, we would have like scarf night, and we would just wear scarves and t-shirts and go out, and it would be like snowing. But you're going out and getting fucked up, having a good time. And I was like 23, 24, so definitely didn't care about like freezing my ass off just by wearing a scarf and a t-shirt. But man, scarves are so cool. Like, keep your neck warm. They look good in your jacket because jackets aren't like very comfortable to like zip all the way to the top. Like, I hate that pressure underneath your chin. Like, and even like especially if you're rocking like a pea coat, okay, you definitely need a scarf because that jacket, you can't button it all the way up. You just have the buttons, 2 or 3 buttons in the middle, and then that's it. Like, what about all this region, this neck area? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to rock a scarf, and I just like one, they feel good. 2, they look good. So I love scarf season because it adds that, extra flair to your outfit. Absolutely huge fan of them. I've got several scarves. I bought a couple when I went to Europe in like 2015. And the cool thing over there is like people wear scarves when it's not cold. Like, it's part of their outfit. And I think that's dope. You know what I mean? Like, add some flair. Like, it just looks cool. And like I said, they're comfortable. So I definitely like scarves. So when I go shopping here in the next week or two, I'm going to pick up scarves, some Tims, and see what else I can grab. Maybe try to find a trip to the outlets, wear my Coach crossbody bag that I'd love to wear, and you go shopping because everything's right in front of you. Man, I love that crossbody bag. Like, bought that over a year ago when I was like traveling a lot, and it's the greatest thing. Like, man, it's just so cool. So super excited about going and dropping some cash flow and getting some new gear for Christmas. But so far, it's been great, man. Really feel blessed, and I'm gonna return that favor. You know what I mean? Like, life's been pretty good for me this year as far as like, my job is stable and definitely got a raise this year. So I'm kicking some extra cash to like organizations to make sure that like kids shouldn't be hungry. So I wish I could be more involved with that to make sure like no kid should be starving. So I like to contribute to organizations that support that because I know when I was a kid, I loved food and food was available, but kids shouldn't be hungry, especially not in the holidays when it's cold out. You know what I mean? So any way I can help in that aspect, that's important to me. So I am definitely contributing to that for sure this holiday season as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? Got to share that love for everybody. And I'm, hey, we find the things that are important and passionate to us, and that's how I'm going to give back. So I'm not just going to go out and spend money on myself. I'm also going to give because that's the whole part of like being grateful and all that jazz. Like, you feel like you have more when you can give and help out others, but never empty out your cup completely because, you don't want to do that either. Leave yourself thirsty. Okay. So the next topic is recently. So I watched the American Horror Story, the new one that came out on Netflix. I don't have cable. I don't pay for cable TV just because I don't watch TV that often. If I do, I'm watching like Netflix or something or a movie that I haven't seen in a while, but I'm not like regularly sitting there surfing the TV for something to keep me entertained because I'm entertained in here, baby. But this one was cool. It's the 1984. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. Maybe you saw it on cable. Maybe you watched it on Netflix. I only started getting into the American Horror Story several months ago when my hairstylist had brought it up when we were talking about like the haunting of, so they had Hill House and Bly Manor and they used the same cast. And so my hairstylist, she was like, oh, so it's like American Horror Story. And I've never seen it at that time. So then I watched like a few of like one of the series. It was Freak Show. and it's really interesting. So this one, it's like based on 1980s horror, because it's called 1984 Summer Camp Killer, but there's a couple twists in it, and honestly, it is a very entertaining series. Gory as hell, like definitely 1980s murder style, but I will tell you what, that show is like really cool, and they got like a great cast, and I just like how they presented some of that like 80s horror, you know, um, kind of humor to it because they were like teenagers. If not, they were on their way to go to college, but they were most likely teenagers, like in high school or something. And they had their whole lives and future ahead of them. But that attitude of like teenagers killing and, then laughing about it, like it's just pretty funny. Like, because they portray that idea of like being a teenager, like, and haven't lived their life as like college students and whatnot. So it's a pretty good show. And, this will be what, the second, season or whatever of American Horror Story. So I've heard that I should check out the Lady Gaga one. I don't know if you guys have you guys heard that one? Listen to me. Like I'm not even, heard. I meant, have you seen that one? I don't know what it was called. Maybe the hotel one. I'm not sure. But I was told that one's good, so I guess I'll put that on my watch list next. I think Lady Gaga's talented. Like, that song Rain on Me with Ariana Grande was definitely in a lot of my DJ mixes when that song came out, and I know that she's a character, so I bet she's a great actress, Sure, it takes some skill to do that. But so anyway, if you're bored, if you're off of work or these holiday schedules, you get hooked up and you got some free time, and if you like that creepy horror stuff, but it was like TV level, definitely recommend checking out American Horror Story 1984 because I thought it was pretty damn cool how they did that show, so. All right, so definitely recommend that one. Listen, we'll roll into this week's intriguing question. Okay, not meant for arguments, right? Just a discussion. And if you're in a battle of who's right, who's wrong, guys, you know that the woman's always right, but hey, you make whatever decisions you want for your fate. That's up to you. So what temperature do you prefer to keep your house setting at? I've seen different things. Like on Facebook, somebody brought it up and it was a huge discussion. Some people were like 68, 72, not a degree more, whatever. So where are you guys at? And do you force the rest of your family to bundle up? For me, I like to keep mine right around 70 to 72. When I'm in the studio recording, 70's fine for me because it doesn't get as hot in here as like when I had my old Mac Pro. Man, that tower speaker with the fans and shit. Like this place used to get warm, and I had an older monitor that I think portrayed some heat. The LED lights don't really, put out that much heat. So it's not that it doesn't get that hot in here by myself. I think with one or two more people, it might turn up a little bit. But so I keep it around like 70. I like to. Now, summer months, like 72. I'm really not trying to push that thing to 70 because that AC will be on all the time here in Texas. So I just keep it around 72. Sleeping like 68 to 70, I'm going to get much better sleep the colder it is. So maybe that's why everybody likes it colder because, you sleep better. But I'm not sleeping during the day. I'm trying to like be active and not sit there shivering and freezing my ass off while I'm doing the dishes or something or like while I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? So, that's it. And what do you guys do, like, if the temperature's uncomfortable and you live with someone who wants it, like, cold because they don't want their AC or their heating bill to be super high? Like, in the beginning of the show, I talk about, like, when I was at my sister's house. She wasn't going to change that thermostat, so we just had to figure out a way to be comfortable, like wear a blanket or toss on an extra hoodie or something. I know for me, when I grew up, we had a wood stove, so like we didn't turn on the heat. Dad would start the wood stove, or we did the wood stove to heat the whole house, and that thing would work great. But if it was like in the morning and that fire died out, it could be a little bit chilly. You had to find a way to get warm, and it would take a little while to heat up the house. But man, that basement definitely felt good once that fire stove was moving. Another thing about the fire stove was cool because if you want to reheat pizza, we used to put pizza on like on like a piece of aluminum foil. I remember Dad told me, I was like, instead of putting it in the microwave, he was like, man, we'll just put on aluminum foil. We'll warm it up right on the wood stove here. And that's how you would get a crispy pizza, man. That thing was delicious. Dude, I love that. And speaking of pizza, okay, because every Friday I get pizza, right? And sometimes I pick it up, other times I order it. This time, like my favorite place, 46th Street here in San Antonio, they weren't accepting, like they were just not on Uber Eats. So I decided to like just do DoorDash, whatever, from another restaurant called Poppy's Pizza. I put in my special instructions, extra crispy crust. I like the extra crispy crust. I hate when that shit's floppy. I'm not trying to eat a floppy pizza. Being honest with you, if you hand me a floppy pizza, I'm going to critique the shit out of it. I want the type of pizza that I can fold it, put in my mouth without having to do like the whole, guiding it in, like hanging it down to make sure you don't get cheese on yourself. Like, nah, man, I'm good. It should be able to go straight in. Like I can dip my shit in some blue cheese, put it straight in. So this pizza, I knew as soon as I picked up the box from when they placed it on the doorstep, the doormat, I picked it up and I was like, oh man, this pizza feels heavy, which meant there was a lot of cheese because all I asked for was pepperoni and mushroom. So it meant that there was a lot of cheese and that shit was not crispy because when it's cooked extra crispy, like, dude, even the cheese is better. You know what I mean? Like it just makes for a good pizza. And so as soon as I lifted it up, man, crust was not browned, crispy. Like it was not crispy. So it was crispy towards like the end, but I mean, it's going to do that. But they had so much cheese on that joint. My lactose intolerant ass was like, this is going to be rough. Sometimes I can get away with eating, pizza without a problem just because the cheese, like, it's like not that much dairy, but they overloaded this baby. So was pretty upset with Poppy's Pizza. I've had their pizza before here in San Antonio, and it was good. They followed the instructions, but I think sometimes you get these, pizza chefs who are just like, what's extra crispy, man? Nah, I'm too busy, so I'm pulling your pie off, But yeah, so I think what I'm going to start doing is doing like a pizza review on Fridays about the pizza I'm getting. Shit, it may be from the same spot or different spots, but I'm going to critique it because I love pizza. Every Friday, pizza goes down. It's a psychological thing too. It's like something to look forward to at the end of the week. Everyone's got their something. Like growing up, I remember I always looked forward to, what was it? It was the not the Nick at Night, but it was like the Nickelodeon. It was something they had on like Fridays. I forget what it was called, but you had like all the cool shows like Kablam, Hey Arnold at that time, the Rugrats, like it was a fun thing. And then Saturday you had like, all that. But yeah, like that's what you looked forward to. So for me now, like I look forward to my Fridays because I get pizza every time. And I'm sure other people out there, like that may be their wine night or the night that they're going to have like their cheat meal or whatnot. So, but for me, no cheat meals right now because it's wintertime and it's okay to beef up for me next, few weeks or month. And then January, I tighten it up, whatever, but I will still have pizza every week. That's doable. And it's funny. My sister asked me, she was like, hey, do you eat like the whole pizza or keep some left over? And, if it's a 14-inch, I will eat most of it and probably leave like 2 slices. 16-inch, I'll probably have like half of it and it'll be like 4 slices left. But I'm definitely going to eat like more than 2 slices, man. I love pizza. Dude, absolutely love it. Makes me happy. I've got a couple slices left over. I'm definitely going to eat that joint and continue on the weekend. So listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I've got it's been fun. I think this version turned out better than the first one, even though the first one was filled with auto-tune. Doing this one, and definitely I think, the energy into the topics was on another level. Gosh, I can't believe I did that. It's so funny. But anyway, guys, listen, I do want to know, I'm interested in the intriguing question, what temperature do you prefer to keep your house setting at, your thermostat? And do you let anyone touch that like it's or does the same rules apply like a car stereo? Does someone else get to take the con on music when they ride with you, and do they get the con on the temperature? I think more people are willing to allow others to be comfortable in the vehicle. Like when it comes to temperature, like, hey, you hot? Yeah, I'm hot. So you roll down the window or turn off the air. But in the house, if you're like, man, I'm freezing, and you like your temperature at 68, temperature's at 68, you probably tell somebody's ass to bundle up. I don't know. I want you guys to tell me. Hit me up on Twitter at DJ Unprotected. All right, everybody. Thank you again for tuning into the Output with me, DJ Unprotected. This podcast is presented by Aztec Nation, so I hope you're picking up what we're putting out. We've got a lot to say. Tune in on your favorite streaming platform next week for a brand new episode. Listen, I appreciate every single one of you. It has been a great year, and we're going to close this thing out with some positive energy. So if you find yourself screaming in a pillow, take a deep breath, know that you are not alone, and that we will get through this together. All right. So, hey, happy holidays. Have a great weekend. We out.